Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Adriana. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer of the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, your online TOEFL course. Now you're working on, it looks like today, intonation. And also it looks like you have done a speaking practice test. You know what? I like how you balance out your studies. So you're doing some pronunciation and also some speaking practice. So I can kind of give you feedback in both areas. So there's a lot of different ways to use this additional service that I offer my students. And I think that you're using it, I think, in a very, very wise way. So, and I hope I'm giving you some good feedback to kind of get you going in the right direction. And remember, the purpose of going through all of these pronunciation exercises, I know they're very tedious and they take a lot of time, but it helps you get used to American English, how we pronounce things in American English. Now, you're getting into intonation. Now, unfortunately, intonation is something that we learn at a very young age, and it's not easy to have the right tone or the appropriate tone, I think, in a new language. So, all right, let's see how you did. So we'll go to intonation part 1 first.
Landslides are a common occurrence in Santa Cruz Mountains. Our intense winter storm, high rainfall amounts, and steep terrain are all conducive to landsliding. Earthquake activity adds to the problem. The big earthquake of 1906 set off dozens of large landslides in the Santa Cruz Mountains, some of which claimed human lives.
Okay, so you're working a little bit right now on what's called pausing. And so far, so good. You're pausing at the right places. Remember, during TOEFL speaking, you don't want to pause too much, and you want to make sure you're pausing enough to make it easy for the IBT human rater to understand your information.
The potential for loss of life and property is much greater today. Although nature-caused landslides are beyond our control, most
I would say control, or beyond our control.
recent landslides in Santa Cruz Mountains have been caused by a combination of human activity and natural factors.
I would say activity, not activity, but activity. So it, not e, it.
Human activities which act to further destabilize slopes are logging, woodland conversion, road building, housing construction, and any activity which alters normal drainage patterns.
Okay, problems again. Word stress, that one is still getting you. It's alters, not alters, but alters normal drainage patterns. So don't forget that other word too that we pointed out before, control. Now, the other thing you might want to think of, now that we're getting into intonation, is when you have items in a series, Adriana, you say like A, B, C, and D. When you get to the last item in the item in a series, you want to drop the tone on that last one. So you would say here, human activities which act to further destabilize slopes are logging, woodland conversion, road building, housing construction, and any activity. So once you get to activity, the tone should drop. So be really careful about that. That helps us kind of understand that you're not done when you're naming all those things. And once you get to the final item, then when you drop the tone, that tells the listener that you're finished with that series of ideas.
Whether or not any of these activities will trigger landsliding depends on the existing natural conditions.
I would say trigger, not tree, but trigger.
Some soil and rock types are more prone to landsliding than others.
I would say soil, soil, soil.
And landowners should determine the inherent geological stability of their property before beginning construction activities.
I would say their stability before beginning, beginning, stability.
Landslides, mud flows, and debris avalanches frequently accompany other natural disasters.
No, it's accompany. 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 Word stress again, be careful. So you're still struggling a little bit with word stress. You need to keep working on that. And also, you need to spend more time on the I, pit, peat, pit, peat.
Such as floods and earthquakes.
That would be floods, floods, floods.
It is important to learn to recognize the warning signs of possible landslides in your immediate area.
Okay, so the good thing is you're understanding this idea of thought groups, and you know when you need to pause after these thought groups. All right, let's go to the next. I think we're getting into the second pronunciation exercise with tone. This is intonation part 2.
What causes autism? Researchers from all over the world are devoting considerable time and energy into finding the answer to this critical question.
Good, critical. You made that a little bit louder because it's a focus word. So what causes autism? Researchers from all over the world, okay.
Medical researchers are exploring different explanations for the various forms of autism.
Nice. So you focused on explanations and forms. Those are focus words.
Although a single specific cause of autism is not known, current research links autism to biological or neurological differences in the brain.
Nice. And those are very difficult words there. Good job on that.
In many families, there appears to be a pattern of autism or related disabilities, which suggests there is a genetic basis to the disorder.
Now, I would say there are disabilities. You struggled a little bit with the pausing. I would say in many families, it might be better if I put a comma. So many families, there appears to be a pattern of autism or related disabilities, which suggests there is a genetic basis to the disorder.
Although at this time no gene has been directly linked to autism, the genetic basis is believed by researchers to be highly complex, probably involving several genes in combination.
Good, that's not bad. Okay, let's go to your next one. Now, in this case, you're working on a speaking task, right? So, let me go ahead and get my notes ready here. So, it's name your favorite holiday, explain why. So, let's see how you did on this. What I'm going to do here is listen to the whole thing one time, and then the second time I'll listen to it in smaller parts. Let me click on the rubrics too. It's always good. I always like to look at the actual IBT rubrics when I listen to your speaking practice test so I can have an idea of how to score the task and then give you some reasons why.
Because of the chance to see my relatives and 2 weeks vacation I can get from job, Christmas is my favorite holiday of the year. I'll start by saying that I was blessed with a big family, and we are used to getting together each and every year during Christmas, which is why I love this holiday the most. For instance, this is our tradition.
Yes, which is why. Nice. A lot of times you would avoid that and say that is why, but saying which is why, you're now changing that into what's called a dependent clause, so you're making that more of a support idea instead of a main idea, and you're demonstrating advanced grammar. Yes, you see the light.
Which keeps our family united. Additionally, I like Christmas the most due to the 2 weeks vacation I can get from job. For instance, the company which I work for has this policy to close the business between Christmas Eve and January 2nd. As a result, I get 2 weeks of vacationing, which helps me to release all of the work-related stress.
Okay, now let's go back and listen to it one more time.
Because of the chance to see my relatives and 2 weeks vacation I can get from job, Christmas is my favorite holiday of the year.
So I would say I can get from my job. I would put my job or a job. Job is a count noun, which means you should probably put some type of determiner before it. Now, the first time when you said the word relatives or relatives. I had trouble understanding, but you want to say relatives, or family. Either one you can say. So a little bit of trouble with that word, but your topic statement is strong. You're focusing your speech around 2 key points. So that's a good strategy.
Start by saying that I was blessed with a big...
Now, I'll start by saying that I was blessed with a big family. Now, be careful about using exactly the same grammar. I'm trying to get you used to using a lot of things, so you might say, instead of what you're saying, one reason why I like Christmas is, and then another reason why I like Christmas as a holiday, or another reason why Christmas is my favorite holiday.
Family. And we are used to getting together each and every year during Christmas, which is why I love this holiday the most.
Good. And then say during, not during, but during, and I like the which is why, like I just said a minute ago.
For instance, this is our tradition which keeps our family united.
This is good. This is our tradition which keeps our family united. Nice.
Additionally, I like Christmas the most due to the 2 weeks vacation I can get from job.
I can get from my job. Don't forget the word my.
For instance,
you already said for instance, right? So what other transition word could you use? To illustrate, for example, case in point.
The company which I work for has this policy to close the business between Christmas Eve and January 2nd. As a result, I get 2 weeks of vacationing, which helps me to release all of the work-related stress.
Now wait a minute. Now you're throwing me off a little bit. You started with the past tense there, and then you jumped into the present tense. Let's listen to it again.
And January 2nd, as a result, I get 2 weeks of vacation. Which I work for has this policy to close the business between... For instance, the company which I work for has this policy to close the business between Christmas Eve and January 2nd. Okay,
so you said had this policy, which means either the company is no longer in existence or you do not work for the company anymore.
And as a result, I get 2 weeks of vacationing, which helps...
Then you shift into present tense. Be careful. That's what's confusing me. You're using the past tense and the present tense, in the same idea. So you might change get to got.
Me to release all of the work-related stress.
Okay, so with that one, let's go to the rubrics. Okay, so delivery, you had some problems with some words in there, particularly some words that have R's in them, like relatives or during. Grammar and language use, very strong, very good grammar. You did have some verb tense shifts from past tense to present tense, which was a little bit confusing. Your topic development was very strong, very well organized. You had some examples to support your generalization, so it's very easy to understand the relationship of your ideas. I'm going to put you at 24 points out of 30 on this one, 3.16 out of 4, for the reasons I just discussed in this video.